Don Everly of the iconic rock and roll duo the Everly Brothers has died at the age of 84 at his home in Nashville. The singer's family told the Los Angeles Times through a spokesperson this Saturday that he had passed on that day. His death comes 7 years after he lost his brother Phil, with whom he formed the iconic rock and roll duo that rocketed them both to stardom. Don lived by what he felt in his heart, his family said in a public statement marking his death over the weekend. Don expressed his appreciation for the ability to live his dreams with his soulmate and wife, Adela, and sharing the music that made him an Everly brother. Before they were known as the Everly Brothers, the two siblings sang in the Everly Family, a 1940s act that included them with their parents Ike and Margaret. Country is not the right word for what he played, Don said of his father during a 1986 interview with Rolling Stone. It was more uptown, more honky-tonk. I'll tell you the right word for it, blues. White blues. Originally born Isaac Donald Everly in Kentucky, he and Phil whiled away much of their early childhood in Iowa before spending their teen years in Tennessee. It was there that they began their careers the Nashville country music scene, spinning their wheels for years before scoring a hit with Bye Bye Love in 1957. The number had been written by the husband-wife team of Felice and Boudreaux Bryant, who pitched it unsuccessfully to 30 acts before the Everly Brothers took it. They spun it into their breakthrough success, scoring a #1 on the country charts and even a #2 on the pop charts. A number of hits followed, from songs written by others like Wake Up Little Susie to songs Don wrote like Kathy's Clown and Till I Kissed You. However, as their career rolled into the early 1960s, with a brief pause for them to both serve in the Marines, Don found himself addicted to Ritalin as a result of his involvement with Drive. Max Jacobson. Max Jacobson was the infamous Drive feel-good who administered ultimately addictive vitamin shots to an all-star clientele including John F. Kennedy. People didn't understand drugs that well then. They didn't know what they were messing with, Don reflected decades later. It wasn't against the law, I saw a picture of my doctor with the president, you know. But it got out of hand, naturally. It was a real disaster for a lot of people, and it was a disaster for me. Ritalin made you feel energized. You could stay up for days. It just got me strung out. I got so far out there, I didn't know what I was doing. His addiction spiraled into a breakdown and a suicide attempt, whereupon he was institutionalized and subjected to electroconvulsive therapy. They say shock therapy is good for some things, but it didn't do me any good. It was a pretty primitive treatment at the time. Once they gave it to you, you couldn't remember how long you'd been there, he recalled. It knocked me back for a long time. I thought I'd never write again, added Don, who was eventually able to conquer his Ritalin problem in the mid-1960s. Around that time the Everly Brothers refocused their career on Britain and the Commonwealth, having retained their fame there as they went out of style in the US. From an artistic standpoint they remained an interesting act, releasing one of the pioneering albums of country rock when they put out their record Roots in 1968. However, the new mainstream sound of rock and roll had become harsher than the older, gentler mode exemplified by 1950s harmonizing of the Everly Brothers. Early on in the 1970s their partnership had become infamously to fray, and Don tested the waters of being a solo act with a flop album named after himself. In 1973 they went public with the fact that they were breaking up, though they offered fans a pair of farewell shows at Knott's Berry Farm in California. The first night was a legendary disaster. Phil smashed his guitar into the stage of the John Wayne Theater and thundered off. Don, who wrapped up the two-day engagement alone after Phil's outburst, told the audience, "The Everly Brothers died 10 years ago." For the following decade the duo resolutely refused to speak to one another with the singular exception of Ike's funeral. Both of them trooped along through the rest of the 1970s carrying on solo careers, largely in the United Kingdom. After sensationally splitting up on stage in 1973, they mended fences on stage in 1983 with a show at the Royal Albert Hall in London. During the 1980s when the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was founded, the Everly Brothers were among the inaugural set of inductees. They continued to perform together as an in-demand nostalgia act into the early 21st century, even doing a guest spot on a Simon & Garfunkel reunion tour in 2003. However, by the mid-aughts they stopped performing together, and late in life their personal relationship also apparently soured again. During his first career as an Everly brother, Don had gone through two wives, Sue Ingram from 1957 to 1961 and then Venetia Stevenson from 1962 to 1970. After his reunion with his brother, Don then married his third wife Adela Garza in 1997 and they remained a couple until his death this weekend. He is not only survived by Adela but also by his mother Margaret, who also lives in Nashville at the grand old age of 101. Don leaves behind 4 children as well: Aaron, who at one point was married to Axl Rose, 2 other daughters called Stacy and Venetia and a son called Eden. Phil was just 74 when he died in 2014 of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which his widow Patty attributed to his smoking habit. After his brother's death, Don revealed that Phil had given up cigarettes in the late 1960s but started again after we broke up, and smoked until 2001. Their personal and political differences ultimately drove a wedge between them late in life, and Don shared after Phil's death that they had had a very difficult equation. He told the Los Angeles Times of losing his little brother, "I'm not over it. I really feel sad. I think about him every day. I always thought about him every day, even when we were not speaking to each other. It still just shocks me that he's gone." Don noted, "He was a great singer, Phil. We did that all our lives. It's almost like we could read each other's minds when we sang."